praises to Yahweh, Bashim, Yahushai, Bashim, Rakah, Kodash, Tawada, Amen. And double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS and all the camps on the highways and byways bringing out the word in truth and spirit and sincerity. Shalom. Alright, today we're going to talk a little bit about Amalek. So you've got the Amalekites, who, as you know or may not know, are the so-called Jews, calling themselves Israelis. Now, first we want to, a lot of times people refer to them as the Ashkenazi Jews, right? So that they're Ashkenazi. People believe that they're from Ashkenazi. Now, those so-called Israelis in Israel are not Ashkenazi, they are Amalekites. The majority of them are Amalekites, which are basically they're Edomites, because Amalek is Esau's grandson. So when they say they're Ashkenazi, what first you must understand is that Ashkenazi, and we're going to bring him up here, is of Japhet. So if we go to the Genesis, let's bring that here, Genesis chapter 10. We'll show you here, Genesis chapter 1. Yeah. So we go to the book of Genesis, chapter 10, all right? Just so you understand, remember, Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japhet. So when they say that they're Ashkenazi goes back to who? Goes back to Japhet. He is one of Gomer's son, all right? Gomer is one of Japhet's son. Japhet is one of Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japhet, all right? We are Shemites. We come from the line of Shem. All right. Then you've got Ham. Most Africans come from the line of Ham. Literally, when I say Africans, people that live on the continent of Africa, the majority of them come from the line of Ham. All right. And then you've got Japhet. Japhet are like your what do you call them? Your Polynesian kind of people. Those that live in like Hawaii, those islands that are off Australia. New Zealand is another place. The Aborigines of Australia are Japhet. Japhet are the original inhabitants of what we know as Western Europe, all right? Just so you know that. Ham are the original inhabitants of where? Of the continent of Africa. And Shem are the original inhabitants of what we know as Mesopotamia, or some people refer to it as the Middle East in today's language, all right? So, if we go to the book of Genesis, chapter 10, verse... We'll start at the top, just to show you, before we go into Amalek, all right? It says, now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japhet. And unto them sons were born, and unto them were their sons born after the flood. So who were the sons that were born after the flood? The sons of Japhet are Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshesh, and Tiras, all right? Those are the sons of Japhet. And it says the sons of Gomer, verse 3, says the sons of Gomer are Ashkenaz, Riphath, Togarmah, all right? So those are the sons of Gomer, all right? So Ashkenaz is the son of Gomer. And remember, these are all black people, so-called black people, all right? All of them. Noah and his wife are black people, all right? So-called black people. Their 3 sons, Ham, Japhet and Shem, are all so-called black people. They are not Caucasians. Remember, the first rule when you understand this truth, when you learn about the Edomites, the first so-called Caucasian that was born was who? Esau, Edom. Now, we understand people before that, some people had leprosy and so forth, which gave them that look of being a Caucasian, because leprosy is the removal of all of the melanin out of your skin, which makes you basically a Caucasian. Yeah. So there were people from during different periods of time that had leprosy, and that was given that. So, for instance, Cain, the mark that Cain was given was a mark of leprosy. All right. That's why it was a mark, that he could not be everywhere that he would go, people would know him. But the first born white person was Esau, Edom, the Edomites. That was the firstborn white person. Firstborn Caucasian was Esau. He's the progenitor of what we know as a so-called white race today that we call Caucasians, all right? Now, Japhet was a so-called black man, just like his brother Ham, just like his brother Shem, just like his father Noah. These were all so-called black men. So Ashkenash descends from Japhet. It doesn't descend from Esau. So those so-called Jews in Israel, calling themselves Israelis, can never be Ashkenaz. They call themselves Ashkenazi Jews. And then they believe that they come from, they say because they're from Germany, all right? So let me show you something, because even the blue letter has this right. It's most things right, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna, it has probably 99% of the stuff in the blue letter is right. But it's the stuff that, the 1% that is wrong is the parts that you have to do your due diligence on. So we're going to quickly go into this, right? We're going to look at the word Ashkenash, right? Just so you understand that these so-called Israelis, right, Edomites in Israel are not Ashkenash, they are Amalekites, right? And then we'll show you the line where Amalek comes from. So in the blue letter, H83, we look up the word Ashkenash, right? Ashkenash, it means a man as sprinkled, right? Fire as scattered, right? That's what it means, right? A man as sprinkled, a fire as scattered. So now when we read, let's read what it says about Ashkenash, right? Well, whoops. Just took me out of it, sorry people. Moving too fast for my own good. Ashkenash. Okay, to view tap the entry. Okay, that's fine. So it says Ashkenash. It says the region and a nation in northern Asia. All right, northern Asia, sprung from the Sumerians. All right, Genesis 10:3. So northern Asia. So they were kind of based. The Ashkenash themselves were based kind of between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, which is what we kind of know as modern day Russia and Georgia. That's where they were based. All right. That's where that tribe settled, right? So that's the first thing to show you that they're not from Germany, they did not settle in Germany, all right? But Japhets are the ones that inhabited Western Europe and most of Eastern Europe as well, were the Japhites, right? All those descended from Japhet. So this is one of the Gomer is one of the nations, and the son of Gomer is Ashkenash, right? So it says here, it says Genesis 10, chapter 3, which we just read, all right? It says to be sought Armenian, and also Armenia is part of that. They also occupied parts of Armenia as well, all right? Because that's around where the Caspian Sea is as well, all right? It says to be sought Armenian. It says unless this were a province of that country, all right? It says the modern Jews, which are those Israelis, those so-called people in Israel today calling themselves Jews, it says the modern Jews understand it to be Germany. So this is what they believe. They think Ashkenash comes from Germany. This is why they say that they call themselves Ashkenazi Jews. They reckon that they came out of Germany, Jamaica. Let that go past. Make a lot of noise that was. Right, they believe that they come from Germany, that most of these modern day Jews come from Germany, all right? Now, they lived there, these so-called modern day Jews, in Germany, Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, you know, most of Eastern Europe, as you know, that's where they all come out from. But Ashkenash is not from Germany, it's nothing to do with Germany. So it says there, it says, the modern Jews understand it to be Germany and call that country by its Hebrew name, which is only to be attributed to the wonderful ignorance of geography. And that's what it is, just like it says here. It's been attributed to their wonderful ignorance of geography, because Ashkenash do not come from Germany. They come from between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, which is the lands of kind of Georgia, Armenia and Russia. Like that, occupied that part there. Gomer was their father. Gomer's father was Japhet, just so you understand, all right? So, Amalek. So let's get into Amalek now, all right? Who they really are. So they are the Amalekites. Amalek. So what did the Lord say about Amalek? Because Amalek has always been our enemy. And as you may or may not know, these so-called Jews are our biggest enemies, because they're the ones that control this whole system that allows us to be oppressed, allows our identity to be stolen, right? And allows, in a sense, our intellectual knowledge to be stolen for them to use to build this nation, okay? So these, remember, first and foremost, that these so-called Jews, these Israelis, right? They are the ones, they're your bankers. They're the ones that own all your manufacturing industry, your media industry, right? They're the ones that control your politicians that are in power. They're your investment bankers, right? They're your commercial bankers. They're your shipping merchants, right? They're your insurance brokers, right? They control the whole world organization, everything that's used to build up today's society. And remember, the first things that they do, most of these so-called Jews, they change their surnames because they know people now are easy to identify them when they say, oh, his name is Wiseman or Heinzman or so forth. They're so easy to recognize. So this is what they've been doing over the last 20 years as well, changing their surnames, just like what the Rothschilds did. Remember, the Rothschilds' original surname was Bauer, right? Bauer. And then they changed their name to Rothschild, which means red shield in Germany. And then that's why they had that Star of David, that red shield outside their 5 banking establishments that they built in Europe. They had a bank in London, one in Germany, I think one was in Austria, one was in Italy, and I think one was in Switzerland and so forth. And that's when they changed their name to Rothschild from Bauer, right? But their original name was Bauer, right? The Rothschilds, right? So we're going to go into Exodus chapter 17 verse 11, all right? So it says there, it says, so 11, let me start 8, I'm going to start at verse 8. It says, we start at verse 6. We're going to start at verse 6. Get a little backstory on what I'm telling you here about these Amalekites, all right? Because they are our number one enemy, all right? They are Edomites. Amalek is Esau's grandson, all right? Just so you understand. And before we even go there, let's show you that in Genesis 36. Just so you understand who he is as well. We read about this devil, right? Genesis 36 verse 12, right? So in the book of Genesis chapter 36 verse 12, it says, and Timnah was concubine to Elizapaz, Esau's son, right? So that's Timnah was a concubine to Elizapaz, Esau's son, right? And she bare to Elizapaz Amalek, and these are the sons of Ada, Esau's wife, right? And these are the sons of Reuel. So it goes into the genealogy of Esau's line, right? And if you go back up, it speaks about, at the beginning it says, verse 1, it says, now these are the generations of Esau who is Edom, right? So that's Genesis 36 verse 1. That's the first thing it says. Now these are the generations of Esau who is Edom. And then when you go down to verse 12, it says, and Timnah was concubine to Elizapaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Elizapaz Amalek. And Amalek is where these so-called crooked-nosed Jews come from, all right? That call themselves Israelis. So, back to Exodus chapter 17, verse 8. It says, then came, verse 6 we're going to start. It says, behold, I will stand before thee there upon the rock in Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, and the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel, right? And he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the chidings of the children of Israel. Because remember, they were saying that Moses brought us out here into the desert to die. Why did we leave Egypt? Because they was running out of water. So they started to now kind of curse Moses and call out the Most High, forgetting the great deliverance, how they was delivered from the greatest power of its time by the hand of the Most High. So in their times of in the times of Israel was going through a lack of water, they started now to turn on the Most High and Moses. So this is why it says when it says, and he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the chidings of the children of Israel. Chidings means the murmurings, the cursings of the children of Israel. All right, this is what they did. And because they tempted the Lord, Yahweh, saying, is the Lord among us or not? So look, they're calling out the Most High, right? Even after they just got delivered. This is after Israel just got delivered out of Egypt, and they're in the wilderness of Zin, right? And that just goes to show that many of them lost their faith at that time. So verse 8, so we're still in the book of Exodus, chapter 17, verse 8. It says, then came Amalek, right, which is Esau's grandson. These are the people that descend from Esau's grandson. I mean, these are the people that descend from Esau. right? This is his grandson's tribe, right? So these are Edomites, right? It says, then came Amalek and fought with Israel in Rephidim, right? So, and Moses said unto Joshua, choose us out men and go out and fight on the top of the hill with the rod of the Most High in thine hand, in my hand, right? So Joshua did as Moses had said to him and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up on the top of the hill. Now you know Aaron is Moses' brother. Hur is who? Hur is Caleb's father, all right? And they are Ephraimites. They are. So it says, and it came to pass, so in verse 11, so it says, and it came to pass when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed, all right? But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on one side and the one on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. So they aided Moses in holding up the staff that he had in his hand, because he was getting tired when he was holding it up, and gave him a rock to sit on. So Hur, Caleb's father, came to one side and held up his arm, and Moses' brother Aaron came to the other side and held up his arm. And it says, and Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword, right? So this was our first major encounter with these so-called Jews calling themselves Israelis, right? And the Lord said unto Moses, write this for a excuse me. And the Lord said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book, right? Which is why we have the Bible here today, because they wrote this for a memorial in the book. That book is the Bible, the Holy Bible, which is the Torah, right? The first 5 books of the laws. It says, write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Jehovah Nissi, right? For he said, because Yahweh has sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. And this is why we're having this war with Esau, Edom, because Amalek is the head of the Edomites. He's the head tribe. The so-called Jews is the head of the so-called white man's tribe kingdom. There's no one with greater power, that waves greater power than these. They're the ones that control the Illuminati, the secret societies. They're the one that controls your banks, your businesses, your manufacturing, your harvesting. They're the ones that control your governments, right? They're the ones that control the shadow governments that control your governments, the Amalekites. They are the head tribe of the so-called white man, all right? And then next to them, second down would be what do you call it? The so-called Christian, they call it the Bible Belt, white people. They will be number 2 on that list, right? But Amalek, the Amalekites, are the head tribe. So let's quickly we want to look at what this word, where are we? Exodus 17. I just want to look at a couple of words here that we're looking at. Verse 15. Jehovah-ness, he said of Yahweh-ness, Yahweh is my banner. So that's what he was saying, Yahweh Nissi, right? Which means Yahweh is my banner. The name given by Moses to the altar which he built in commemoration of the discomforting of the Amalekites, right? So that's what it means, Yahweh is my bower, is my banner, right? And then we'll quickly look at the word. So look at what, come on. Just curious what it says for Amalek, for this devil. Dweller in a valley, because they are naturally cave dwellers, all right? It says, son of Elizapaz by his concubine Timnah, grandson of Esau, and progenitor of a tribe of people in southern Canaan, descendants of Amalek, all right? See what else it says about them here. Just want to see what else it says about them. It says, Amalek, the Amalekites, a very ancient people inhabiting the regions of south of Palestine between Edom and Egypt, also dwelling in the east of the Dead Sea and Mount Seir, just so you know, right? These are Esau's people, right? They seem also to have settled here and there in the middle of Canaan, whence the mount of the Amalekites in the tribe of Ephraim, right? It says here, is mentioned amongst the Aboriginal, it says Arabians, but we know they're not Arabians because the actual Arabians are the Ishmaelites, the Arabs. It says a grandson of Esau and founder of an Arabian tribe. I don't know why they want to call them an Arabian tribe, because Edomites are not Ishmaelites. They're of two different nations of people. Right, so let's bring out some precepts here. Deuteronomy 25 verse 17 we're going to go to. Deuteronomy verse 25 verse 17. So it says here, remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way when you were come forth out of Egypt. And that's talking about the war that we spoke about just now in Exodus 17, all right? How he met thee by the way and smote the hindermost part of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou was faint and weary, and he feared not. So let me just, hold on a minute. We're in Deuteronomy 25. Where are we? 25, 18. Hold on. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So we're still in Deuteronomy, chapter 25, verse 18. So it says, how he met thee by the way and smote the hindermost part of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou was faint and weary, and he feared not. Right? So that's just talking about what we just spoke about in Exodus 17, when we says that the Israelites were faint and weary because they had a lack of water, so they was chinded in the camp. What we just spoke about in Exodus chapter 17, verse 8. Right? It says, therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy power has given thee rest from all thy enemies round about in the land which Yahweh thy power giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget it. And we didn't, because David took them, made them have to pay, what do you call it? King David took them, made them have to pay tribute to us yearly. He had them under his rulership at one point. Tells you about that in, I think, Numbers. What's it? Numbers chapter 14. What we got here? Numbers 14, verse. Numbers 14. It's been before it. Okay, now that's talking about First Samuel then, on people. First Samuel 15. Was that talking about Saul? That's when Saul. Okay, First Samuel 15. Let me see. Where was I? It's not. No. First Samuel 15. Trying to find it, because David took the Amalekites, had them to pay gold and silver. Let me just see. Close. So we can find this. Judges. Hold on. Okay, 2 Samuel 8 and 11. 2 Samuel's 8 and 11. This is what I was looking for. When David had them under his thumb. 2 Samuel's 8 and 11. So 2 Samuel's 8 and 11. So it says here, it says, which also, so verse 11, the book of 2 Samuel's chapter 8, verse 11, all right? It says, which also King David did dedicate unto the Lord with silver and gold, that he had dedicated of all the nations which he subdued, of Syria and of Moab and of the children of Ammon and of the Philistines and of Amalek, which are the Amalekites, and of the spoils of Hadadezer, the son of Rehob, king of Zobab. And David gat him a name when he returned from smiting of the Syrians in the valley of Salt, being 18,000 men, right? And he put garrisons in Edom, throughout all Edom, put he garrisons, and all day of Edom became David's servant. So at that time he had the Edomites, because the Amalekites is a tribe of Edom, under his thumb, basically. They became servants to King David and the kingdom of Israel. So he says here, he says, and the Lord preserved David whatsoever he went, and David reigned over all Israel, and David executed judgment and justice unto all the people. All right. So this is where it speaks about when the Amalekites and all those nations that were around him that were subdued by King David. This was the time of rest that they had under David and under Solomon. All right. Before they started to rebel again. So when we go back to, what was we reading? When we go back to Deuteronomy, we was reading. Hold on. And back and forth here. But that's what it is there. Precept upon precept, line upon line. Here a little, there a little. So when we go back to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25, verse 19, and it says, therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy power has given thee rest from all thine enemies round about in the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget it. So when it blotted out the remembrance, he put them under his thumb. So this is what he speaks about here. When we go into the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 8, verse 11, when it says, which also King David did dedicate unto the Lord with silver and gold, that he had dedicated of all the nations which he subdued. And it says of Syria and of Moab and of the children of Ammon and of the Philistines and of Amalek and of the spoils of Hadadezer, the son of Rehob, king of Zobah. So it says, and of Amalek. So it speaks about Amalek there. And then verse 13 says, and David gat him a name when he returned from smiting of the Syrians in the valley of Salt, being 18,000 men. And he put garrisons in Edom. So remember, Amalek is a tribe of Edom, right? Throughout all Edom put he garrisons, and all day of Edom became David's servants. And the Lord preserved David whatsoever he went. And David reigned over all Israel, and David executed judgment and justice unto all his people. So that's the prophecy that Moses spoke about, that the Lord told Moses that what's going to happen in a certain time, that they are going to be under your thumb. But it was only for a short time. Because you got to remember, after Solomon died, the kingdom of Israel split into two. You had Rehoboam, the king of the southern kingdom of Judah, and you have Jeroboam, who was the king of the northern kingdom, all right, which they called the kingdom of Israel. And that's when things kind of started to fall apart, because that's when the northern kingdom all started to I think we got a transvestite boy standing right in front of me. The Satan boy. Satan is wicked, you know. I even want to show you. Let me see if I can quickly show you. If you allow me to flip it. If you allow me to flip it? I don't think it will. No, it won't. There's a transvestite standing about 10 foot away from me. The devil is wicked, you know. Satan is a wicked MF. Because the word of the Lord's coming out, boy, and Satan sent one of his disciples here, boy. You might see it walk past in a minute. That's how you can see. The one on the end with the long hair and sunglasses on. That's a man. That's a tranny. See, walking in the dress, the flower dress, standing on the end with the backpack on her back, on his back. That's a tranny. That's a tranny. Oh, Satan is dangerous. Let me tell you. Anyway, so let's get back to the word. So Numbers 24. A couple more scriptures here. Numbers 24, verse 21. So this is a future prophecy to do with Amalekites, right? Numbers 24, verse 16. It says, He has said, which heard the words of the Most High, and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty. And this is talking about Balaam, all right? When he took up a parable and said, Balaam, the son of Boa, has said that the man whose eyes are open has said. So this is talking about this is Balaam. He wasn't an Israelite, but the Lord used him as a vehicle to let what's his name? Balak know that who the Most High blessed, no man can curse. All right? Because Balak wanted Balaam to curse the Israelites because he saw them getting big and powerful, and he despised them. And Balak was of Moab. I think he was the king of Moab, and he summoned Balaam, who was known as like a prophet then. He was a seer, and said he summoned him to come and to put curses on the Israelites, and he refused because the Most High had showed him things in visions. So this is the prophecy that Balaam had, that the Most High gave to Balaam to do with Moab, the Edomites and the Amalekites in the last days. This is why we know that they are here today. No one can't tell you about these nations not being here today. They are all here today. Every single nation that the Most High created, the 18 nations that he created, are all here today. And each of them are going to face their judgment, all right? So we're in the book of Numbers, chapter 24, verse, let me see, where should we start? Verse 15. And it says, and he took up his parable and said, Balaam, the son of Boa, has said, the man whose eyes are open has said. It's talking about the Most High. Balaam's talking about. He has said, which heard the words of the Most High, which heard the words of the powers, and knew the knowledge of the Most High. Right? All these flying flies. And knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty, right? Falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob. That's talking about Yahushai, right? That's a prophecy about Yahushai coming. And a scepter shall rise out of Egypt, right? And shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheph. And Edom shall be a possession, right? So when Yahushai came the first time, he came to die for the sins of Israel. But when he comes the second time, that's when he's going to be coming with his scepter. So this is talking about Yahushai coming the second time, right? The star out of Jacob coming with his scepter to smite the corners of Moab. This is talking about his second coming, all right? Just so you understand that, because when he came the first time, he didn't come to smite none of the nations. He came to gather the lost sheep of the house of Israel, to bring them back into the fold, to let them know that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, all right? He came to wake up those Israelites, to gather the disciples, to send them out to do the work. He didn't come to fight no war. Remember when when Herod came to take Yahushai, so we can quickly find it here, Luke. Remember when Herod came, let's get death and yeah. Of Christ. Hold on. No. Where is it? No, hold on. Just to prove a point to you. Where Peter's denial. Right, here it is. So we're in the book of Matthew. In the book of Matthew, chapter 26, we're going to start at verse 51. All right, just to prove it that what I'm saying to you, that when Yahushua came the first time was not to go to war against the nation, was to deliver the children of Israel back into the fold. The war is going to be when he returns the second time. So it says there, it says, and behold, one of them, so we're in the book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 51. It says, and behold, one of them which was with Yahushua stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. Let me just go up a verse. Start at verse 48. It says, now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, whatsoever I shall kiss, the same is he. Hold him fast. And forthwith he came to Yahushua and said, hail, master, and kissed him. And Yahushua said unto him, friend, wherefore art thou come? Then came they and laid their hands on Yahushua and took him. So that's Herod and his soldiers and so forth, right? And behold, one of them which was with Yahushua stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. That was Peter, all right? Then Yahushua said unto him, put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish by the sword. Go, what does that bring into mind? Revelations 13 and 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword shall die by the sword. Here is the patience, the faith of the same. That's why we must have patience and keep our faith till the end, because those that did to us is going to be done to them. No ifs, no buts, no maybe, right? So Yahushua says, so we're still in the book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 52. It says, then said Yahushua unto him, put up against thy sword into his place, for all that take the sword shall perish with the sword. It said, thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, talking about the Most High, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? And there's 7,000 in a legion, I believe. If you go back to the Roman legion, I think it's 7,000, 6 or 7,000. Correct me, it's one of that. It's either 6 or 7,000 in a legion. So he's saying that I could send for 12 legions of angels. And where do you think they're going to come in? They're going to come in chariots, right? So this is what Yahushua says unto them, all right? He could send for 12 legions of angels, right? But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled, that thus it may be? So in the same house said Yahushua to the multitudes, are you come out against a thief with swords and staves for to take me? I sat daily with you teaching in the temple, and you laid no hold on me. But all this was done that the scriptures of the prophets might, be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. Do you understand? He didn't come to wage no war. So what we're reading here in the book of Numbers, chapter 24, proves to you that this is a future prophecy. This is talking about his second coming, not the first time, because the first time he didn't come to wage no war. He said to Peter, look, if I want to, I just pray to my Father and he sends me 12 legions of angels. Boom. Take out the whole Roman army and all their allegiance, all their allies with 12 legions of angels. Simple thing, right? He won't need 12 legions to do that, but he's just saying, just to show his power, he could just send for 12 legions of angels that would have turned up in chariots. Can you imagine those Romans witnessing the chariots, like how Antiochus witnessed them in the air for 40 days? They always shit themselves, mate. So anyway, so we're back in the book of Numbers, chapter 24, verse 16, right? So he says, he has said, which heard the words of the powers and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance but having his eyes open, right? He says, I shall see him, but not now, right? I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, which is Yahushua, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, all right? And shall smite the corners of Moab, right? And destroy all the children of Sheth. This is talking about the Lord's second coming, right? Listen carefully. And Edom, which are the Edomites, the so-called white man, shall be a possession. See? Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. So this is a future prophecy. It's talking about the second coming of our Lord and Savior Yahushua, when he's coming to judge and make war with the nations and bring salvation to the 1/3 of Israel. This is a future prophecy, and I just proved that quite clearly to you by reading what he said in the book of Matthew when Herod sent the priests and their soldiers to come and take him, right? In the garden, when Judas Iscariot betrayed the Lord, all right? And he kissed him on the cheek and said, look, that was a signal to say that's the man you want. All right? So verse 19, so we're still in the book of Numbers, chapter 24, verse 19. It says, out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, which means rulership. All right, let's have a quick look at what that word dominion means. But we don't have rulership now. We ain't got no dominion now. The Amalekites rule, right? The Amalekites rule now. We don't have no dominion. We don't have no rulership, no dominion, right? The Amalekites are, where are we? So we're in Numbers. Let's bring it up, Numbers 24. We don't have that. We're under the thumb right now. We got no dominion, no rulership, and he shall have dominion. Radar. Whoops, sorry. To see, it says dominion. So the Hebrew word is radar, radar, radar. Right? It says to rule, have dominion, dominate, to tread down, to have dominion, to rule, to subjugate, to cause, to dominate, to scrape out. Right? We don't have that. We don't rule. We ain't treading down. No, we are the ones that have been trodden on. Right? We are the ones that have been subjugated. Right? We are the ones that have been crumbled. Right? It says there. It says i.e. It says to tread down, to subjugate, specifically, to crumble off, come to make, to have dominion, prevail against. Ultimately, it says there to reign and to rule. So, if you have any understanding, you can see this is a future prophecy. This is talking about the second coming of the Lord, not the first coming, right? Because this is coming to subjugate, to have dominion, to rule, to reign. When the Lord first came, he didn't come to rule, to reign. He came to die for the sins of the children of Israel, right? And to bring them back into the fold. So it says here, so back to Numbers chapter 24, verse 18, all right? And Edom shall be a possession. Seir shall be a possession for his enemies, right? And Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob shall he come that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. Right? And when he looked to Amalek, which are your so-called Jews, calling themselves Israelis, right? So when he looked unto Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations. They were the first of the nations that came against us with their wickedness, all right? But his latter end, listen carefully, especially you so-called Israelis if you're tuning into this video, right? But his latter end shall be that he perish forever, right? So it's quite clear what's going to happen to the Amalekites. His latter end is that he shall perish forever, right? Because first they're going to be taken into captivity. 2/3 of Esau and the heathen nations are going to die during the destruction, and going to die when the Lord comes with the chariots to deliver the children of Israel. 2/3 of the nations are going to die. Also 2/3 of our own people are going to die during the destruction and during the judgment, because some are going to die during World War III, some are going to die during the reign of the totalitarian, authoritarian rulership, and then the rest of them, or the majority of them, are going to die when the Lord actually appears during World War III, during the nuclear winter, to wage war, judge and wage war with the nations, and to actually deliver the children of Israel in the chariots. So I just wanted to make clear once again that those people in Israel today are not Ashkenazi Jews. They are Amalekites. Ashkenaz is a descendant of Japheth. They are people of color, all right? They were the original inhabitants of Western and Eastern Europe, all right? You can look it up for yourself. Amalek is a descendant of Esau, that's Esau's grandson. They lived in Mount Seir in a place called Edom, and then as the Edomite tribes got bigger, they started to spread out, and then Amalek eventually settled in a place that today we know as Georgia, Russia, and Armenia, like in that land there, in between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. All right, just so you understand. So on that note, I pray this was an edifying lesson to the brothers and sisters to understand that, like I said, those devils in Israel are Amalekites, Esau's grandson, descendants, and double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS, and double honors to the brothers and the highways and byways, and Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, All praise and glory to the Father and Son. Keep up the faith.